Yo, sports fam, listen up. This is the Coach's Corner Unfiltered podcast, where we bring the heat. We're talking scorchers, game changers, and straight fire analysis. We keeping it 100. Let's go!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the premiere episode of Coach's Corner. I'm Clarence Jones, voice of the Tigers, and right now I'm here. This is the basketball edition of Coach's Corner, and right now I have two great coaches here sitting next to me. On my right here, I have the women's head basketball coach, Coach Edward Glover. And to the left of me, I have the men's basketball coach, Coach James Williams. Welcome, gentlemen, to the Coach's Corner.
Man, glad to be here, man. Welcome.
Yeah, well, thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. I know we have a little bit of time with y'all here, so let's get right into it. First off, I want to start off with the rookie here, if I may.
No problem.
Coach Williams, I know, and right now you're not a rookie anymore because you just finished your first season as the men's head coach for the Voorhees Tigers. First off, want to get your thoughts about what did you think about this season, and personally for you, how did you get by this season? Because I know we have a lot to talk about.
Man, there's a lot to talk about, right? This year was probably expectation wasn't what I wanted on the floor. But I think as far as a first-year head coach establishing a culture of how I want our student athletes to be, I feel like I got an A+ in that. On the floor, a D, I'll be honest. 12 games is not where I wanted it to be. My goal is 20 wins every season. That's just from the history of being here at Voorhees. Coach Bishop was a 20-game winner. Coach Huff's first year won the conference tournament, even though that was during COVID. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, I want to get us back to our winning ways. But as far as overall, first year being here, the fact that I had already been here, it was a little easier for me to deal with. But as far as my expectations, I would say a solid D. I ain't gonna say an F because I thought our guys gutted it out. They fought through some adversity, which is the mission statement of our program is to develop confident, successful, confident men. I thought we did that. Guys got through some adversity, but outside of that, man, I'm extremely happy to be here. Extremely happy to grow this program. And I'm thankful to Ms. Johnson and President Hopkins for allowing me to, live out my dream, in that regard of being a coach. Because, it wasn't promised that this job would be given to me. And when it was given to me, I respect Coach Huff for voicing his input that I could run this program. I just didn't want all the wheels to fall off, first year. That's pretty much the biggest thing right there for me.
But you know what? The wheels didn't fall off because a lot of players decided to stay with you. What did that felt like, knowing that the players trust in your judgment to come back?
Well, I think for me, honestly, it said that I believed in what Coach Huff was selling. You know what I'm saying? Of what he was telling the guys, which is about relationships. I developed relationships with those guys. I might not have been their lead recruiter, but during the recruiting process, they heard from me. They talked to me. And even while I was here as an assistant coach, my voice, I've always, being that I was a veteran of assistant, it wasn't like I was a rookie assistant. I understood that as a coach, you got to have your voice. And that's what I tell my young assistants, like, develop your voice. So the guys knew my voice. So it wasn't like they were hearing a foreign voice. They were hearing my voice as an assistant coach. It's just I transitioned to the leadership aspect of being the voice, saying that they need to hear. So that was, I thank those guys a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because I would have had to, it was so late in the game with me getting the job that, recruiting would have took a big hit. You just pretty much getting anything. And I say going into this particular year, these guys are my guys. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like my team. Not saying, I'll be honest. Let's be honest. Keep it a buck with this Coach's Corner.
Yes.
That was Huff's team. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't my team, right? And so you're coaching somebody else's guys and you're giving them a different point of view than what they probably had for 2 or 3 years. And they embraced it. But I think that's the relationship aspect that I have with them. And that's kind of how we want to build our program. We build it on relationships.
And, I was thinking about before I turn things over to Coach Hill here, the culture part. That is something because in the early beginning, when you are a new coach, it doesn't matter if you was on the old coaching staff, but still that culture. How did that kind of change from the last regime?
It didn't change. And that's the funny thing that a lot of people know. I am a Coach Huff disciple. So all the stuff that he was saying, I just added my spin to it, right? If you go to Edward Waters and you listen to his recruiting presentation, you're going to see a lot of stuff from my recruiting presentation because I took a lot of stuff from him. I just added my flair and my spin to it, right? But the biggest thing, man, we went on that losing streak. Like first semester, we took some L's, right? We got hit and punched a lot, but it wasn't like we were losing. And this is a young head coach. We lost a lot of games we could have won, right? And so there was learning things that I had to do on the floor, but off the floor, I always wanted to maintain. Man, this is probably one of the tightest group of guys that I've been around since my days at Norcross, just with the tightness. And so this next group that I got coming is even tighter than this particular group, right? And so we want to continue to build that because you're going to have your ups and downs, just like in life. You know, in basketball is the same way. So that's how we do.
I'm going to touch on the recruiting in just a second, but right now I'm going to turn things over to Coach Glover.
My OG. This is my OG right here.
Right here. Of course, Coach, you've been here, the women's head coach here for a while now. Talk about this past season, the ups, the downs, and what do you look forward to next season?
Well, actually, this past season, it was really a disappointment to me.
Yeah.
And why I'm saying that, we had expectations of winning the conference. Coming into this year with the conference set up and makeup of the teams, we really felt that we could have been 1, 2, somewhere in the top. Now I know how the coach of the Lakers feel. When you were winning games the majority of the time and you lose a lot of them down the stretch. Mm-hmm. I really know how that feels. And that's what we kind of went through this season. Yeah, we had some injuries in key places, but you can't make it any excuses. Last year, we were a young team. This year, you were hoping some of the players that coming off the bench would develop in the starters. Didn't happen the way we needed it to. They made some progress, but not the progress that we needed to win those key games. I mean, at a conference party in Florida, back in January, we were winning the game the entire time.
Right.
Until the last 23 seconds. Because of mistakes, mental mistakes that you would think you wouldn't get from veteran players, but we did.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of similar games like that. The next night, we beat a team in the conference by 20-some points. We just had those ups and downs throughout the year, which I was hoping we could. But one thing I can say about them, this group always thought they could win. Yeah. Even when we went into the conference championship, they went in thinking, we're able to do this. We know we can do this. So, it was one of those seasons. We get a majority of them back. One thing I hate, we're not be able to develop a lot of them during the summer. Being that our summer school is online this year. But, you got to make adjustments when August gets back here. We try to make some adjustments on our way out. Have some individual workouts and things this past few months since the season ended.
Right.
But come back August, we got to get it going quick, fast, in a hurry to be able to turn this thing around and be able to, and especially being that we're going to a brand new conference, which we did play quite a few of those teams last season. And I think we were right at 500 against those opponents. So,
and the new conference that you speak of, the Gulf Coast Conference?
Yes, which will be changing to the HBCU Athletic Conference.
Oh, the HBCU Athletic Conference. Yes. Okay.
Officially on July 1st.
July 1st. Okay, so HBCU Conference.
Yeah, HBCU Athletic Conference.
Athletic Conference.
Yeah. Okay. Nobody's come up with a name yet.
Yeah, get used to say that, big dog. Get used to saying that on.
Get used to saying
that on camera.
Gotcha. Well, Coach, I know this is a question for both of you. 'Tis the season of graduation, and both of you are losing some talent. So right now, would you want to spotlight some of those that is graduating? Because of course, it's student then athlete. But if you want to highlight some of your players that are getting ready to cross the stage here at Voorhees University, Coach Glover.
Well, we're losing one that actually played this past season. That's Diamond Bullard. Overall, she developed as a leader, and it wasn't much on the court, but off the court, she did a lot of amazing things here on campus. Her academics were off the roof. She was able to join a few organizations. She did a lot of good things. She put the student in student athlete. And then we also have 3 other young ladies that are coming back to graduate. Aubrey Callum, who was a member of our last team that went to the national tournament. She was a freshman on that team, as well as Melise Newble, who was a JUCO transfer. Well, not actually a JUCO transfer, but a transfer that came in and played 2 years for us not this past season, but the previous 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. And Ariana Card.
Yes.
I know that's the name you remember as our defensive specialist. Card was a part of the program when we went back-to-back conference tournaments. She was there during the winning times. So it's good that she was able to, she had some stuff off the court back home. The little family situation, but she was able to overcome that.
That's good.
And graduate. And, she was actually Miss Voorhees a few years ago.
Right.
So we, some positive. And that's my thing. I always, recruiting pitch. I want to see you cross that stage.
Right.
I want to be on the other side, be able to hand you a gift, taking pictures, hugging mom, shaking hands with dad, family members. That's a joyous time that I look forward to each and every year. Graduation rate is, if it's not, it's close to 100%. I'm not going to say it's 100%, but it's up there.
Good. So Coach Williams?
Yeah, we have Hector Rosario, who is a 1,000-point scorer. They're on the floor. Off the floor, sports management major. He'll be graduating. Julius Phillips, who was a 3-year transfer from Chestnut Hill, D2. He came here with Huff in 2021, conference champion. We won the conference championship in 2021. Man, what do you say about guys who gutted it out, to get through the process? And I ain't going to sit here and say it was easy for them probably, right?
Right.
Both of them, Julius being from Philly, Hector being from Duluth, Georgia, you know what I'm saying? The ups and downs. When you bring in transfers, right, you got to deal with the baggage that comes with transfers because they're not freshmen. Like when you get a freshman, you can mold them, right, from when they first came here. But transfers bring in baggage and things of that nature. I'm proud of them for the resilience that they had to get through the process, and like Coach Glover said, when I talk to a parent, we just had a recruit on campus today. And I said, man, I don't care about wins or losses from the standpoint of that ain't the biggest thing, most important thing in my life. The most important thing in my life is what kind of father, what kind of brother, what kind of son, what kind of employee you going to be. Because that's more of an impact. That ball going to stop bouncing. You get around 30, 40 years old, you know what I'm saying? That ball stops bouncing unless you LeBron or whatever, of course, they're still playing. What type of person are you going to be outside of that? And I think Coach Glover does a great job of getting quality young people. He talked about Diamond. I'm very familiar with because I teach in the business department. So she was very active and engaged on this campus. She embraced what it is to be a Voorhees Tiger. You know what I'm saying? With Hector scoring 1,000 points, that's a lot of buckets.
Yes, it is.
And he missed a lot of threes. We'll get that. We'll keep it a buck, Hector, if you hear this. You know what I'm saying? That 3-point shot needs to get better. We'll talk about that if you could have upped that point average.
Yeah.
But he was consistent. You know what I'm saying? And he's a former NAI All-American. So he embraced everything from a basketball court when he came here with Coach Huff in 2021. And same thing with Julius. You know what I'm saying? He was a 2-year starter. You know what I'm saying? For us here. Went through some adversity early on with the transfer process, and now he's graduating. You know what I'm saying? So I'm extremely proud of those two. Tyler Willoughby, who was first team all conference this season, and Dayrante Foster, they'll be graduating in the spring. They got a few more classes. They transferred in. They had a few more classes that they had to complete for this particular process, but they are on track to graduate. So we'll see, similar to Ariana Carr, we'll see them come back, next spring and walk across the stage. But man, the 4 years that you spend in the school, and I didn't have that process. That's the irony. I'm a college dropout. Wow. Coach Glover, his college experience, he speaks about it glowingly. But for me, it was a bit different. You know what I'm saying? So I look at this graduation process with admiration and encouragement and joy, just like Coach Glover.
Gotcha. Now, of course, for those that's graduating now, since it's on the off season, now you turn your attention to recruiting. So I just want to ask you this question for both of you. Coach Glover, I'm going to start with you. Recruiting is very different from, say, 10 years ago because of social media.
5 years ago.
5 years ago, yeah, if you want to say that. Yeah. But recruiting is very different now. And, I saw on and heard on a podcast recently, a student podcast with some very good Voorhees students about the effects of social media. So how does the effects of social media affect your recruiting now?
Well, one thing, they find out about it instantly when it comes to social media. Before, back in the days, it was a newspaper article and it meant to, foretold all this other stuff. The story got to be done. Then it gets in the paper maybe a week later. Mm-hmm. Now, as soon as it happens, it's there. And that's good. That's good in a sense because it lets other people know, hey, she's going to Voorhees. Maybe I need to, or he's going to Voorhees. And these kids follow each other. Back in my time, I'm going back. We had a group of players together and some, being opponents, and we followed each other, but it's not like this where they can just bam, gets to the phone and, oh man, so-and-so just signed with Voorhees.
Mm-hmm.
They're on my list too. Let me give them a call. It's different now. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing because we, these are instant kids. We gotta, it's like pour water, stir.
Right.
It's not that slow cook. It has to happen instant for them.
Instant grits.
Yeah. And on the recruit standpoint, it has to happen instant for us too, as well. With the transfer portal, the transfers, it can happen quick. Sometimes when you bring in freshmen, it takes time to acclimate. It depends on that skill set of that freshman. They're basketball savvy. So it has its difference. A good mix could be there. Some coaches are still strictly, I just want freshmen because they want to mold them. Right. Some, I don't do anything but transfers. I still kind of do a mix of it, because I've seen some transfers come in that have really jumped on like this.
Right.
And I've seen some who've not.
Yeah.
I've seen freshmen that catch on quick.
Yeah.
And then I've seen some not. So it's just like getting and I like to quote some old school coaches. And this Lou Holtz, longtime football coach for Notre Dame in South Carolina, always say this like a newborn baby. You don't know what you get till you start raising them.
Wow.
And sometimes, you can look at transfers. I'm like an adopted child. You still don't know until you start raising them.
Right.
Right. That's my take on that.
I'm sorry. I know we got about 2 minutes.
Good. We can go over a little bit, but you see that's why my OG. You see that he got stuff like that. Luke Holt, he poured out Luke Holt.
Yeah, right.
What kind of podcast is this gonna be, CJ? It's like, are we gonna like tell the truth?
We tell the truth.
Okay, I got you.
Tell the truth.
Like, I agree with Coach Glover. It's a mix. Nowadays, you got to have a mix. But I'm all over. I'll be honest, we got 2 international kids coming in, one from Spain, one from Germany. So, I got to overcome a language barrier, culture barrier, and all those things with blending in them into our culture. Mm-hmm. But that's the way basketball's played. Now, these young people that I got, these 2 young men, they already are professionals. They already playing in professional leagues over there because they spend more time practicing than they do games over there overseas, right? So they're coming in already having played grown men. So that's a different type of freshman, right? And I got 5 high school freshmen coming in, so that's fine. But then I got 2 JUCO transfers who are physically mature, right? And so it's a mix. It's a blend. You got to nowadays.
So when you mention it's a mix, do you have to when you for both? Do you have to, when they come in for recruiting, do you have to change your style up or whatnot? Or do you really basically keep it the same?
Never. I'll never want to change because I don't want you to come here and think you're going to get something that I told you that you're not going to get, right? Mm-hmm. So it is, for me, it's straight up. You know what I'm saying? What you see is what you're going to get, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm more of a mindset of, I've become more of a GM as far as team building than I have just being a coach. Okay. Because now when you talk about bringing in transfers, you got to bring in people who fit your culture and what you're expressing. You know what I'm saying? It's a little easier with a freshman, right, than it is with a transfer because they have their experiences that they got from their previous program and they may bring those to you. Right. And some of that stuff you got to watch out and some of those stuff you got to keep. So it's a mix for me.
Okay. Coach Glover?
Yeah. When you do get them in, and I use my players a lot as recruiters as well, because a recruiter's going to talk with them. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to be real. This is what we have to offer. This is where we are. So that decision can be there with that player and their families. Sometimes it transfers. A lot of times it's solely them. Mm-hmm. But when you kind of bring a freshman, a high school senior, it's not just about them. It's about the family as well. Mm-hmm. So that's my thing. When we letting players talk with them, and then we let them take them, go ahead, take them, show them the campus. That's that. How can I say it? I'm looking for a name for that kind of tour, because we have our admissions office going to give you that Voorhees University tour, but I can always say that the players will give them that real tour,
ambassador type.
Yeah, that kind of feel, because they're going to show them where we eating at, what we eating. We're going to take them to the dormitory, show them where we're sleeping, where we're living. All those are some little things that make a difference when you're trying to recruit somebody. They're going to tell them about where they are. This is what we have to offer here. What you need to survive here, and that's happening at most of the colleges, because everybody's unique and different. Right. Everybody has their different flavor of what their campus have to offer, what their place have to offer. So we do a lot that way.
Yeah. And I tell the athlete when they come here, family. we talk about family. You know what I'm saying? And that's essentially what you get here. Being that this atmosphere is what it is, everybody on campus is gonna know who you are if you're an athlete, right? You know, so because athletes kind of dominate this campus. And so you're not just gonna be a number, you're gonna be a person. And so that's my speech, man. Like I tell the parents, I care more about the person than I do about the athlete from the standpoint of I want it to be transformational, not transactional. I don't want you to think that I think of you as just a tool to help me get my next job or to get the win. You're a person and you are somebody. How do I help invest in that? That's the definition of a coach, is to take an athlete from one place and take them to another. That's the definition of a coach, right? It ain't about basketball. It ain't about wins and losses in that standpoint. It's about that person. The more you invest in that person, the more you can get out of them. Because I'm an a-hole in practice, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna be tough on you in practice, but when we get off that floor, how do I get you to understand that I care about you as a person? So that way, when I push you on the floor, you don't take it personal.
Right.
You can overcome things like that. So that's our that's my recruiting pitch for our program.
All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We'll have more of the Coach's Corner coming up. So stay with us.
At Voorhees University, we don't just educate, we ignite the spark of transformation. Our students are more than scholars. They are trailblazers, advocates, and visionaries who are shaping the future. Our students are not passive observers. They actively volunteer in their communities, mentor the next generation, and champion social justice. A Voorhees education is a launchpad for leadership. Our alumni are innovators, entrepreneurs, and change agents who leave a lasting impact on the world. Imagine yourself joining this extraordinary community, discovering your passions, and honing your talents. At Voorhees, your potential is limitless. Voorhees has cultivated a tradition of academic rigor, character development, and unwavering commitment to our students' success for over a century. Take the first step towards a life of purpose and impact. Visit our website at voorhees.edu or schedule a campus tour. The next chapter of your story begins here at Voorhees University, the next level of excellence.
Everybody, and welcome back to the Coach's Corner. I'm Clarence Jones, and right now I am being joined by the baseball coach for Voorhees Men's Tigers. We have Coach Norman O'Neill with us, and of course, over here to my right, back with us for another segment is the women's basketball coach for the Lady Tigers, Coach Edward Glover. First off, thank you, Coach O'Neill, for taking this time and coming to talk to us here on the Coach's Corner.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me, Clarence.
Gotcha. Let's talk about this season, this past season. And I was talking to one of your opponent's coaches, and they realized how hard that the Voorhees Tigers play baseball.
Yes,
and that comes from the coach himself. And they say that, man, those Tigers were ultra tough this year.
Right.
So I have to give you some kudos on that. But want to get your thoughts about this past baseball season.
Definitely, far as coming into the season, far as in the fall, I had high expectations, like any coach does before the year. You think you can win it all with the team you have. Bringing the guys in, had an atmosphere as far as win mentality. One thing I can say is I'm not showing the last time it's been a winning season at Voorhees, but I'm still trying to achieve that. Yeah. So this year, we didn't make that mark. But next year, we're building for that. But as far as this season, I want to say we had a lot of ups and downs when it comes to guys coming in, dealing with the transfer, eligibility-wise, and then guys being here, not meeting eligibility requirements to play in the spring. So it kind of hurts you when you go from a 35-man roster to a 24-man roster, especially playing college baseball. Yeah. You can do it, but it's best to have numbers. So it kind of showed, but the mentality, the conditioning, the grit the guys had. We lost games, but we was behind 1 or 2 runs. It's been some games we got blown out, don't get me wrong, overmatched and stuff. But as far as having a young team, I feel real good about us moving into the new conference.
Right. And, some of the highlights I have to highlight for you is beating a couple of teams that is above the division, particularly with Claflin. They play in the NCAAs. But how about this team, the team makeup, and what do you think about this team makeup and going into next season? How can you improve on that makeup?
Oh, definitely. As far as the returners coming back, for instance, Kawhi James, Isaiah Palmer, Jordan Hill, just to name a few, those guys are going to be integral pieces to us being successful on the field. Those guys have proven themselves to be leaders on and off the field as far as academically and athletically. So definitely having those guys on the forefront is going to help us out. Returning pitcher, Jathan Smith, is going into his senior year. Honestly, it's been our ace since I've been coaching. But having him a part of the staff is definitely going to help us out. But the guys coming in next year, we're trying to build those guys around what I see as a winning culture. I've been a part of winning teams where we had a certain type of mentality. When I recruit, I look for those guys that have that mentality. And just basically, like most coaches have to deal with, they have their own coaching philosophy they've been dealing with, trying to reset them to yours.
Now, I posed this question to Coach Glover and Coach Williams in the last segment. Now I'm going to post this same question to you. On the recruiting side, things has definitely changed, and social media has definitely played a big part in that. What do you see the biggest area as far as recruiting? How has it changed from, say, 5-10 years ago to now?
I say honestly, social media is taking a big portion of recruiting. Especially with us not having huge staffs where we have somebody that can just basically leave and while we're coaching during the season, do our recruiting. Social media has been a big thing for me. Kids send me film. Every time I clear out my Twitter, next day I got like 200 more messages I have to go through and just kind of answer everybody. When it comes down to recruiting 5 years ago, I mean, before you see coaches, scouts, and everything in the stands. Now, most time you just see kids sending Twitters or sending film. Everything's so digital now. So it's really, you don't have to leave the comfort of your home, but being able to go to an actual baseball game and actually watching the kid, because watching highlights don't tell you anything about the kid's makeup.
Yeah.
Highlights, that's just basically like social media, putting all the good stuff out there. I want to see how the kid acts underneath adversity. How does he do when he strikes out? Does he throw his helmet or he throws a fit, or he just grabs his glove and go out there play defense? Some of that stuff you miss, but that's when the conversations come in, actually getting the kid for a workup. Then you can actually see what they really are about.
Gotcha. So when you make up with this, and Coach Glover, I'm bringing you back in on this discussion as well. When you're looking at a kid, when you're recruiting, what are you looking at, the needs of the team, or are you looking at the best athlete that you can get?
Honestly, the best athlete. Reason why I say that is because I believe in iron sharpen iron. I might need more pitchers, but if I can find a great position player or a great bat, and I already have a great bat, now those guys are competing at practice. That type of atmosphere at practice makes you a better team. The more people you have to compete, the better. But I also address the needs as well. So it's not like on this level, you have to have guys that play certain positions. High school, you can have a guy that plays all the positions. Up here, you need people that's basically focused on one thing. So I go for the best athlete, reason being so that way they can push each other at practice.
Gotcha.
And then going back to, Coach was talking about film. Remember, I was talking about the recruiting incident.
Yeah.
10 years ago, film was on the CD. It had to come by mail.
Yeah.
Film is on the way. Now it's on your phone, or email. It's instant, and that's a big difference too. Film back in the day was an entire game, so you kind of saw, what's going on here. How did he react on the bench? How did he, and the whole format was there. They didn't just focus in. Now it's the highlight film was a lot of the good parts. You don't see the turnovers. You don't see the strikeouts.
Right.
You don't see the drop passes.
So now would you consider like these highlights are like Instagram models? They look good, but then when you actually see them, it's like, what's going on here?
Well, even ESPN has had make a change with that. When the last time with basketball that you see a defensive side on ESPN?
I haven't.
Nah.
Now you think about that.
Remember the days when Mutombo
blocking shots? Yeah.
Lonzo Moore and the big Patrick Ewing,
Bad boy Detroit.
Yeah. And the glove.
Yep.
It was
Gary
about
Payton.
defense.
Yep.
Now it's about the offense.
Offense sell tickets though, if you think about
it. Now LeBron does it, at his age, 39, he's still, but other than that, where's the defense?
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you brought this up about defense, because you're leading into right to my next question. And the skill level of basketball players, particularly here in America now, it seemed like it's taken a dip. And is it the AAU situation? Because now you're having more and more AAU teams, tournaments throughout the off season, and it's more about individual rather than team.
Well, sometimes it depends on who you play for or what team you're with when it comes to AAU. Some AAU coaches are about teaching, making that athlete better. Some about a number of games they can play. So it really just depends with that. The overseas, when it comes to basketball, it's been a premium. You can go back when we lost in the Olympics, scene, what that was, 1988?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's when we said, man, we got to do something else. Because they were using their professional players.
Mm-hmm.
And those players were playing together for a long time. When we did make the concept of moving on, first of all, with the college concept, it was still a good concept, but you still have to bring them in, practice, get them to mesh together versus those international teams who were already playing together for years.
Mm-hmm.
So now we bring in the pros, which you bring in the best in the business. They're going to overcome that because of their talent. They did close the gap up because those games did become close. The dream team just blew everybody out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next, as the years by, it became closer, and there's some competition now, in a sense. So it's just the emphasis that we put on certain sports, even with baseball.
Yeah.
They're putting more emphasis on the game of baseball.
Yeah.
We've gotten football craze.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my first team sport was baseball. We learned everything about baseball. You got football, but basketball, because brothers play basketball.
Yeah, you can play.
That's gonna happen. But football, and that's a whole other thing. I can go with basketball about a lot of things we did in the playgrounds or in the gyms that's now got names to them, and we were already doing them. But that's a whole other.
Yes, indeed.
But back in the day, that was our sport. You learned baseball, and baseball taught you so much that you could take to other sports, and that's another dying breed. The multi-sport athlete.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just talking with Coach O'Neill before we got back on the air about how things is kind of like specialty now. Mm-hmm. It's not, in the fall time, it's football, some fall baseball, wintertime, basketball, whatever. And then, of course, springtime, baseballs, summertime. Now it just seems like for the athlete that is, they're athletically gifted. It seems like they're forcing them to choose one sport. Him or her choosing one sport.
Right.
And how can we get back to that? Let the kid decide what they want to play instead of the adults coming in and swooping in and say, no, you're going to play this.
I mean, that's kind of hard because honestly, a lot of adults make the decisions up for these kids. Growing up, I played every sport. I didn't play basketball. My family played basketball, but I played every sport. Football, baseball.
But
I even played soccer.
The rules of basketball.
I know the game of basketball. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's just more of like now with everything being so focused, like everybody's trying to get people fast to the pros. They try to tell a kid, hey, don't focus on this. Play this sport only because you got a better chance. Sometimes certain sports will help you develop certain muscle groups for another sport. Like playing football makes you tough to play basketball. And then being basketball, the endurance running back and forth will help you out with soccer and baseball. So it used to translate. But now with everything being so streamlined, people paying for travel ball, AAU and everything, now kids are just staying focused on that one general sport. Sometimes it helps out. Sometimes that player loses development.
And even coaches have become a specialty. We go back to our parents' era, especially our fathers. A lot of times, it was just different with women and men back then. But most boys played sport. You go back to them, they were coached by a coach who could coach every sport, probably.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a little bit of everything. PE classes. We learned every sport in PE. I learned hockey.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm about to say, I learned,
soccer.
field hockey. Yeah. Soccer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening anymore. P is that's a whole nother podcast. But it's not structured for them, so they don't get a chance to opportunity to see if I like that.
Right.
And I think that plays a part in it.
Yeah, it does. And just personally, off of my experience growing up in New York, the first game I learned and my father taught me was baseball because, at that time during the 80s, you had Darryl Strawberry, Doc Gooden, my first team, the Yankees, with Dave Winfield and Ricky Henderson. I wanted to hit home runs. I wanted to steal bases and I wanted to strike out people all at the same time.
And the person that taught us baseball back then saw the person that probably taught them had to fight to play baseball.
Exactly.
Because there was a separate leagues back then.
Right. So the Negro leagues.
So you were taught by a different type of person. And yeah, it's a dying breed. And I hate to see that because I love baseball. I hate to see that.
Yeah. Wanted to talk about baseball, and I know the AAU was basketball, but with baseball now, it seems like they start off in T-ball and they just goes right up.
Travel ball.
Yeah, travel ball. Yeah, travel ball is a new AAU, but the thing is, like I tell most of the coaches, you start dealing with those kids that have talent, and there's some of the kids that think they have all the talent, but they don't. Reason being is because back in the day, we had post ball. We didn't have travel ball. We barely had AAU ball growing up. So if you wasn't good enough to make the post ball team, you was getting a summer job. Now, travel ball, if you're not good enough to make this team, okay, now you form a team with all your friends that can't play. Now you have an elite team in in a tournament, and then you got this team that just paying the money. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of coaches, like Coach said earlier, a lot of coaches are developing these kids. But then so many coaches are actually just getting it for the money. I'm just being honest with you. Because you see a team at a tournament, you're like, why are they even out here? You know what I'm saying? No, they shouldn't even be out here.
And where's the backyard game?
Oh, yeah.
Where's the backyard?
Pick up.
I live in a neighborhood where we got together.
Yeah.
Not just played basketball, not just played football. We played baseball.
Yeah.
And had enough people to have 9 versus 9.
Right.
Playing like a 30-game series in basketball, playoffs in football, and baseball. You know what I'm saying? All summer.
And everybody brought their glove. Or if you didn't, you shared.
Right.
We had bats. I mean, and I know equipment is a big thing. It's a big thing because nowadays, it's about that bat. I know we would probably swing with a bat that probably, it may not have been legal, but also probably was worn out. But we played with that bat. I mean, everybody shared it. We didn't worry about the weight side and looking at the numbers and all that. We just got there and swung with that bat.
Right. So, I mean, it just seems like now, as we're talking about our youth, it's just that today's youth, it seems like they're not getting a chance to develop or given a chance to experience different sports. It's just one sport.
Right.
So as a coach, when you look at it, even say for recruiting, do you look at did this player played other sports other than this, or it's just baseball and,
No, I honestly look for guys that play football because that's most of the guys going to have that mentality, that tough, that grit, depending on the position they played. If they play like safety, strong safety, running back, wide receiver. Okay, now I'm thinking about their speed, and now they're tough because they can be able to take a hit. Okay, now let's think about their mental makeup. Yes, you can find on elite baseball players, but shoot, most of the position players, I look for guys that play dual sport athletes because that means they're more athletic. You know what I'm saying? The pitchers and stuff, you want those guys to kind of be more pitchers, but some of those guys are like top tier athletes. So really, I look for guys that's multi-sport athletes because that's who I was. And I know what type of player I was playing football, then going straight to baseball and stuff. So
that's it.
A lot of time, your pitcher is probably your quarterback.
Yep, exactly.
Point guard on the basketball team. So they had that leadership quality. Or the catcher was the quarterback or the point guard. And those two positions, you can't have a good baseball team without that pitcher and that catcher.
Right.
Communication and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, gotcha. Now, just want to get back to the AAU and also the specialty baseball. And it seems like, and I'm going to touch on the AAU, it seems like now in the professional ranks, in the NBA, that they looking more overseas because you mentioned before the professionals, the NBA started playing in Olympics, it was all college players. But you mentioned that the international countries had already professional players, and some of them was playing probably professional when they was 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, and they I mean, you go back to probably the Sixers with the Russians. That team was developed to win the Olympics.
So now when you look at it and you're looking at, okay, who's the best player in the NBA right now? Some people would say the Joker, Noche, or some may say Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
But nobody is saying, or nobody's really talking about, I guess now, recently, they're talking about, I guess, Anthony Edwards and whatnot. But still, when you look at the draft that's coming up, the top 10 players, about 8 of them are international overseas players. And for some of the scouts, they say, well, they're playing better team ball than what these players here in America are showing right now.
And you also seen that transition. I don't know if y'all watched the WNBA draft.
Yeah,
right.
There were several foreign athletes drafted there in the top 20. So it's having an impact.
Yes, and of course in baseball, I don't want to get into this, and it's been burned out. And I followed baseball since the 1980s, and I've named some of the athletes, and all those athletes had something in common.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
They look like me.
Yeah.
Right now, shout out to my Hispanic players. Love them. They're great. But what happened to the Black American athlete going into the major leagues? Because when you look at these rosters right now, and it seems like maybe 3 to a ball club. Like, I can name on my one hand Mookie Betts, and I probably can't name it on one hand.
Right.
So what's going on, and what can we do to try to reverse that trend?
Well, honestly, it goes back to the grassroots levels. When you're thinking about it, I did a senior thesis when I was at Claflin about African Americans in sports in general. When you look at the sport of basketball in an urban setting, think about New York. Every borough, every neighborhood, every apartment complex had a basketball.
Right.
They had an open field to play football. So you got to think about it. Those are 2 sports that's easy startup for it's cheap. Far as baseball, it takes a lot. You got to think about a $400 bat, $300 pair of cleats. Then you got to do a $200 glove. Some families in those settings don't have the money to make that. So that's why those kids gravitate towards basketball. And also that's another reason why like a lot of African Americans don't swim, because pool upkeep takes a lot. So when you look at all that translates to what sports can they get into and excel quicker. You got to look at basketball and football because they're more athletic and stuff. But if you have those kids, like when I was growing up, like Coach Glover was saying, all I knew was Jermaine Dykes, the Frank Thomas, Ken Griffey's, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like now, it's because of that, you know what I'm saying? Those kids those parents are taking them to basketball. The AU costs probably $600 to $800 to $1,000. Baseball, the highest I seen was $10,000 for a travel ball team.
Whoa.
Per athlete.
And Coach called a couple of names. I see, I'm telling my age. Those guys, I would be like, dang, if I would have did this and did that, I could have been playing with them.
Yeah.
I'm not bragging, just come out of high school and I got proof. I still got my letters. Might crumble, but I still got offers for every sport. Had a decision to make which sport will you play in college. But that's going back to the grassroots.
Yeah.
Playing, I remember Coach Oscar Dason, one of the founding members of my chapter with Kappa Alpha Psi at my alma mater, Claflin University, would come around his pickup truck and say, hey, boys, come to the field. Need a ride, jump in the back of the pickup. Now, nowadays, you can't ride in the back of the pickup.
Right.
But, we come there early in the morning. He's teaching us position. This is one man now. Teaching us outfield. He's doing everything. And you'd be like, dang. And that's one reason I wanted to be a coach as well, because I just saw he coached my dad, my uncles. And, just to see him doing all that from sun up to sundown, but he made sure we was out there. Where's that happening now? Don't get me wrong. There's a guy here in this community that he does almost the same thing during the summers and trying to do things with basketball, football, and baseball. But those are dime a dozen.
Yeah.
The backyard sports. And I know video games and social media and a lot of other things have a lot to do with that. My daughters did a summer program at Clemson this past year. They made them shut off social media. So they come back with videos and pictures of activities, playing flag football, volleyball in the grass, kickball, hula hoops, doing the things that were normal in my era that they have to force them normals do.
Right.
So,
And you mentioned that coach that, yeah, come on, boys, come on to the pickup truck. I had a coach like that. His name is Hank. He's no longer here, but Hank, he was the man around the way that gathered us project kids and say, come on. And you mentioned about, well, there's no baseball diamond or whatever. We went out to a concrete field, okay? Painted off first base, second base, third base, home plate.
Right.
And down the lines. And we played on concrete.
Did y'all slide?
Yes.
Whew.
Yes.
that's how they became good sliders.
But
Right.
yes. Because we knew get up.
A proper way you got to do
Proper,
it.
yes. Don't long slides, nothing like that. Yes. And I have the injuries to prove it too. But no, maybe we're missing some of that of the adult around the way to get the kids to come on and say, come on, let's play. And even if it's a football field, you can kind of draw out, or get some that, okay, these are base pads.
We made fields.
Yes.
We made them. Now, guys, I can actually take all you, get one of the vehicles. We can go. I can show you fields in this area, surrounding areas that are just there.
Mm-hmm.
The
Abandoned.
setup is there.
Yeah.
And you can tell that it was once used, but it's just there now.
Mm-hmm.
Just remnants.
I mean, it's some places that would love to have that opportunity for those fields. Would love it.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I just thinking about when I was younger, men's league baseball, Sunday league ball. I growing up, I was 10, like being a ball boy until I was able to play on my uncle's team, the Williston Eagles. And we used to play against Delmar, Bamberg, Allendale. We used to travel to Wellington, like Orangeburg. And like literally you go down 70 right now in Blackville on the left, going into Blackville, it's an old field, like Coach said. Like I remember going out there and it's just the remnants of a field.
Right.
But there's organizations out there now like Minority Baseball Prospects. The founders, Alex Weiss and Reggie Hollins, they have basically all-star game for African-American players. So HBCU all-star game, like Henry Adam Brown played in, Jordan Hill last year, now this year Isaiah Palmer. And they're doing those grassroots things where they're going to the urban cities and doing not picking them up, but basically like impromptu camps for free.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to introduce the kids to it. But see, the thing is though, when you don't see kids want to go to the sports that they see us in, that's the basketball and football.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're trying to bring baseball back. It's a lot of organizations out there. But like Coach said, we don't have those guys in the communities no more that say, hey, that knows the game, like, hey, let's go play baseball.
And does that attribute to, I guess, maybe is it a higher crime rate? They don't want to be out there after a certain time or Coach Hank, when he started, this was way back in the late 80s, early 90s, he was already in his 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a good pedigree of bringing up kids from our hood areas and whatnot and giving them chances. Not only that, college scholarships, some of these things where, we can perfect our skills. We may not go to the majors, we may not go to the league, but it's good enough to at least get a scholarship to college.
And then those coaches of the world had the support of the community.
Yeah.
Businesses. A lot of our businesses.
Churches.
We just had that support. And a lot of our businesses are not even our businesses anymore. If you can kind of read between the lines, he could go there and get water.
Mm-hmm.
And back in my day, we weren't getting bottled water. He was getting jugs of water. He could get what we needed to help out with those summer. Because, we're out there. He got to be able to provide that kind of stuff.
Right.
We did some other things that probably they dare not do now, drinking from a spigot and stuff like that. I call it the spigot, but the outdoor faucet.
Yeah.
But it's that support. Nowadays, you got to go and do so much legwork to get what you need to get the resources.
Right.
The hand-me-downs.
Mm-hmm.
A glove was passed to me by an older family member.
Man.
Broken in, ready to go. I don't know if that's still happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about to say Little League sports, recreation, town rec programs, they done moved away from having town rec programs to now AAU and travel ball.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of communities went down as far as athletic wise. A lot of I could just think about this area between Bamberg, Barnwell, and Orangeburg County, like the recreation departments all those counties had prolific teams as far as football, basketball, baseball. Now everything's so AAU, kids are traveling to other counties. Now, you know what I'm saying, we don't have that here. So like Coach said, like the communities are not around the sports no more because it's went away from the community. So.
Do you believe, say, you mentioned churches, should churches or other local businesses take it upon themselves to create some kind of rec league for kids, especially now since we're getting ready into the summer and school is about to be out? Do you think that could be something?
Yeah, I'll be honest, we need to get, churches had leagues.
Yeah.
There were church leagues.
Church leagues,
You have to get back to it. With the members or the members' children or family, they would play. We recently, and I probably had to go back another 10 years, we had some schools playing here. Well, not school, but churches had Voorhees. Upward Bound program that we had a team. So they would bring in some of the local church league teams to play against them, some of the youth. It was, I mean, it was some good basketball. I definitely had to run the clock and everything. I was there watching it and had interest in it.
Right. Gotcha.
And you saw a lot of young talent come up and end up playing. Some of those guys are in college now or beyond.
Gotcha. Coach, you want to say?
No, I was saying, no, that is a good idea. I mean, just thinking about instead of the communities, like it's churches in every community and it's a lot of kids in those churches and stuff. I mean, but it's just more of like just trying to get that word out to them.
Right.
And a lot of youth is not in church, you know what I'm saying?
And they're doing like us. They're talking about it.
Yeah.
But not happening.
Do you believe, because I know growing up, funding was a big thing, whether it was the school or the neighborhood, and even just take Voorhees as an example. You know, we have some great coaches here. We have some great programs, but we do need funding to fund these athletic sports to be very competitive. Because one thing, like I saw on the NFL draft, I think this is like the second year in a row or something that a HBCU person was not drafted into the NFL. Do you see that because of the lack of funding now, that can hamper a lot of these athletes' growth into trying to become professional athletes?
I don't think, I mean, yeah, the funding could help out, but I'm just thinking about when I was younger, a lot of HBCUs put a lot of athletes in the NFL. Deacon Jones, you know what I'm saying? You could think about Walter Payton, like
Jerry Rice.
Yeah, Jerry Rice, you know what I'm saying? You could think the list goes on. A lot of Hall of Famers come from HBCUs, but it's just now more of how mainstream media has put the emphasis on the Power Fives, the big D1s.
Yeah.
They don't think the talent's there, but you got to think about it. You look at every major sport outside of baseball, we're there. You know what I'm saying? It's just more of our community invested back into HBCUs.
Right.
I feel like I was telling people, I told my students in one of my classes, I don't feel like the NCAA is going to be around that much longer. You look at how the SEC is building, how teams are going to the SEC. A lot of people are leaving the Pac-12, going to the Big Ten.
ACC, all that, yes.
Yeah, ACC. So I was like, I feel like in the next like 17 years, like I don't see the SEC finally just like, hey, we got our own league. You know what I'm saying? And then to the point where it's like, okay, now we're going to invest in our own. So it's a possibility, you know what I'm saying, that HBCUs are going to be on the uprise.
But it's funny, why is all this movement happening? Money.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders said it.
Yeah.
He said, if we chasing a dollar, why the kid can't chase a dollar?
Exactly.
You know, chasing the bag, as he said.
And you know, this leads me to my last question for both of you. NIL has changed the landscape in college sports. Has that NIL trickled down from the top Division I and the NCAA now to the NAIA top division levels and beyond?
I haven't seen it as much as the NCAA, but it's slowly making its way down there. They have a lot of athletes. I remember it was a young man that was here for just a few. He had a NIL deal with like a water company, Essentia, out of California, and then he ended up leaving. It's just more of the NIL, like those businesses want to go where kids are more marketable. So if you had an institution or you're playing a sport that's real marketable and, you know what I'm saying, it's in the eye of everyone, like businesses invest in that. So it's more of like us as an institution, coaches, to kind of promote our own brand, you know what I'm saying, that kind of get to attract those businesses.
Gotcha. Coach Glover?
Yeah. This level, it'd probably be more about the programs, selling the programs. versus individuals, because you're that's your brand. Voorhees Athletics is your brand. We played our basketball tournament in Lawrence, Kansas, and everywhere you went, there was the Kansas Jayhawks everywhere. But then what was different, you saw the players, pictures on the windows at Wendy's and restaurants, franchises, because there's that spokesperson, that's that face for that franchise, and that's where the NIL deals. So that's that you've seen it there, and I got another take on that, which we'll discuss later. And not even on this podcast when it comes to those kind of things.
Right. Well, we're going to invite you back anyway. So
I'll tell y'all that in the non-podcast.
Well, anything else you want to add before we wrap things up here, Coach O'Neal?
No, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? To come on your show and stuff. Definitely enjoyed it, especially talking sports. I could do that all day. My students realize that if they could talk sports to me, I get off the topic of teaching. We'll talk sports all day. But now, definitely love what you're doing and stuff, and keep it up.
Thank you.
Maybe we can do a coaches roundtable.
That'd be nice.
Not just
yes,
basketball, bringing local
football. Yes,
yeah,
high school coaches in the area.
We all do
college coaches.
Yeah,
you can just chop it up.
Yeah. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Coach's Corner. We are going to talk about everything that is in sports and in the sports world. So once again, thank you to the head baseball coach, Coach Norman O'Neal, and also the women's basketball coach, Coach Edward Glover, and a special shout out to the men's basketball coach as well, James Williams, for joining us as well. I'm Clarence Jones. Hopefully you enjoyed our broadcast from the Innovative Lounge on the campus of Voorhees University. A beautiful lounge. It's beautiful. Thank you. Yes, it's very comfortable. Thank you so very much for joining us, and hopefully that you can join us again for another edition of Coach's Corner. So long, everybody.
That's all for this episode. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Until the next episode, keep it real and keep it Voorhees.